One of the things was that all my stuff is white or was white. All my stuff, my ships, my aircraft, my houses, white stone, white everything. And the problem is that the metal wasn't white on the space shuttle, and I wanted it to be white. So I wanted it to be painted white. Now, the space shuttle re-enters the atmosphere. So, how exactly do you do white that can re-enter the atmosphere? But the thing is, like I say, my name was Lusifer Star. So I wanted my ships to be white, which meant that I wanted the space shuttle to be white. Now, the space shuttle re-enters the atmosphere and basically comes down like a sled. Now, I did also invent the space shuttle, basically, or at least the portions of it anyway. So the thing is that, well, true to my White Star legacy, basically, just like my LSF colony ship, Dash A colony ship, I wanted my space shuttle to be white. And it originally wasn't white. So, or at least they had to repaint it once it came down. But I wanted it to be, wanted them to be able to film it taking off and landing and everything else like that. I didn't want it to have to sit there and be painted and then, blah, blah, blah. So, how do you make it white? Well, porcelain and some other things. We've tried lots of different paints. It's hard to get paint that can actually withstand up to 2 or 3,000 or 100,000 degrees, like re-entry. That is very much difficult, and that is another Lucifer White Star thing that I was tasking people to do, spending money on, and the fact was that I wanted my space shuttle to be white, completely white, in fact. Even the tank one time. The paint for it is rather expensive on something that's just going to re-enter the atmosphere and fall apart and all that other stuff. And then, of course, the fact that the fuel has to be cold in order to get to space, which is something that people didn't really understand, is that the fuel has to be ice cold. And that was another problem that the researchers were having a problem with. They're like, we can't get enough fuel in there, blah, 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 blah. It's not going to have enough fuel. I said, did you try freezing the fuel before you put it in there? Because expansion is rather important. And lots of things expand a lot between ice cold and hot. Anyway, I'm not exactly sure. But basically, they needed to basically be able to have enough fuel to get the space shuttle off the ground, and it wouldn't have enough fuel unless it was ice cold. It actually matters in at first they're like, that's nonsense, blah 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 blah, and then they talked to the research and they actually did research on it to see how much the fuel would expand and contract. See, water is one of those things where it doesn't really its volume, I forget the volume. Water, I think the volume increases, but not everything the volume increases. Anyway, it's a complicated thing. Anyway, though, they eventually did put it in ice cold, and it did make a couple of 1,000 gallons difference or something like that in that huge tank or something like that. Anyway, or something like that. Anyway, but basically, I was like, they're like, it's not gonna have enough fuel, and I was like, did you try freezing the fuel before you put it in there? Because it can make a difference. A lot of things expand and contract, and they went, oh. Well, no, we didn't really try that. It's like, well, why don't you go see how much of a difference it would make and then get back to me about it? Anyway, the fuel is a gas anyway. And it's kind of, gases and freezing and all that other kind of stuff. It's kind of weird what happens when you feel something, like gases under extreme cold sometimes turn into solids or liquids or something like that. Anyway, it's all complicated and it's all relative, whatever. But anyway, it depends on the fuel type and whatever. But anyway, though, it's funny because I wasn't all that intelligent. I forget. I mean, I used to be a lot more intelligent, a lot more into this stuff, and then later on, I was like, yeah, because at first they were gonna have to lift a heavy pressure chamber up in there, and then they realized if they just had it ice cold, it wouldn't matter. There's no pressure with ice cold things. It's less pressure actually. than if you just tried squeezing it in there. So you freeze it first and then you pour it in there basically as kind of like a liquid solid gas. And then it expands, as long as it's cold and all that other stuff. Anyway, though, it's complicated. Anyway, and I don't really care anymore. It's just something that was part of my life back in the old days when I used to do stuff, and then when I was on vacation, I was like, oh my God, you really are gonna ask me and talk to me and tell me these things right now? Yeah, because I was on vacation as Brian. I wasn't even you know, like on Lucifer Star, and then I was on vacation. But I guess I don't know, something, something, something. I don't really care. I was like, wow, why are you bothering me with these details? Like I designed every anyway though. Whatever. I had scientists that were working on it that knew how to do everything, and I used to know how to do everything, and then I taught people, and then I took my vacation. But whatever. Anyway, since everyone else is like, fuck this fool, blah, 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 and bullshitting me, and they're just young 20-year-olds, of course. Like, it's funny. When you're young, you think things and do things, and then when you get older, you start to realize things. Well, some people, I don't know. Hey, whatever, I don't care. And I'm like, give me a gun. Anyway, though, but the point is, though, that painting something that's going to re-enter the atmosphere is not easy. And getting paint for engines, because I wanted the exhaust manifolds on some of my cars or some of my vehicles to be painted, because I mean, I don't really like the dirty rust look. That's not white, it's not black, it's not anything other than brown and rusty. And so some of my vehicles I wanted to have like nice, beautiful, like painted engines and all that other stuff. So anyway, I was having people work on it and see if they to see if they could do anything about the paint on exhaust manifolds. And of course, at first they were like, "No, it's impossible." I was like, "Well, maybe lead, ceramic, something or other. I don't really know. Something. I think, but lead turns into a gas or something like that. I'm not exactly sure at high heat or something like that. It vaporizes sometimes. You can vaporize it if it's really thin or something. I don't know." Anyway, though, it's all a big issue, blah, 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 blah. But I was like, did you try ceramic and lead or something like that? Some sort of mixture? I'm not exactly sure. Like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know anymore. I mean, that was my work thing. I'm on vacation now. Jeez. Can't I just be rich? Can't I be massively rich in the creator? No. Anyway, though. It doesn't matter anymore, though. Because, I mean, like I say, my house is stolen, and a whole bunch of brats are bothering me. Doesn't really matter. But they found me like 12 times already, so. Or 20 times. I was found 20 times by all my other life forms. They're like, oh, you! And I was like, yeah, me. What's up? So, I mean, as far as getting lost, I've never really been lost. I've always been found. I think we would have lost me a long time ago. Anyway, whatever. Because we made lots and lots and lots of massive, big changes to the world, the way it was structured and everything. And everything still always pointed to me. So, whatever, shrug. I don't know, I was a child back then. That was before the wars and everything else. And Nixon. Arm chopping off Nixon. He was really JFK, but whatever. Like I said, as JFK, he tried to at least pretend that he was a good person. But once he became Nixon, oh man, you saw. I mean, the real JFK came out then, the psychotic one. So anyway, because I don't know, Nixon had a good name, so he could pretend to be Nixon and go around doing whatever he wanted, and people wouldn't know that it was actually JFK. So it was like he had the power of being a fake president with being being Nixon or unknown person. Anyway, it was all just really, 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 really psychotically bad. Anyway, whatever.